my friends, they're in my head. I'm so ugly, that's okay, 'cause so are you. We broke our mirrors Sunday morning. La la la. Ya no me acuerdo la letra.
Okay,
Hello.
well that's it, yeah. Hello.
How you doing?
Hello, everybody. Well, this is the Thursday vinyl album, so ta-da! We have Nevermind. So, how can you?
So basically, this section is about. It's not a review, because we would be like 30 years later.
30 years later.
Yeah. But this is just I think is a relationship with the album, where we as musicians when the album came out, which I think in 1990, right?
Yes.
It doesn't say here.
Well,
Well,
somewhere
in Roman.
somewhere like a long time.
Yeah,
ago.
1990 actually, yeah. So, where were you? Because I have a very clear idea. And what does this album mean to you, or meant to you back in the day?
Well, I was probably, I think I was in your house with Edgardo and
My brother.
with your brother, and all of a sudden, you always had the TV on, always, and all of a sudden there was this. I came into the room, and there was this TV, and it was something was playing on the TV that it took my attention, and it was this video of Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I caught I think half of it, and to me the sound was like whoa, what's that? And then honestly I don't have a recall how I went to listen to the full album, and without really knowing
You had
anything.
a tape. You had a cassette. I remember that.
Probably
Yeah.
I go and bought it, but the first thing I loved about the Smell Like Teen Spirit was the sound, the guitar sound, and all of that, and also the melody, and the vibe. But then eventually, because at that time I was metal, only into metal, and anything that wasn't metal, I was not interested to listen to at that time. But when I hear these three,
Uh-huh.
it was just like I loved
Incredible.
it. Absolutely, I loved the faking album. You know,
Yeah,
just the
so-
whole thing. I played it over and over and over and
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over. I found all the tunes were catchy, and it was aggressive, but it wasn't metal. It was just very not. And at that time, I didn't have any access to see videos, or how did they even look like, or how did they actually dress. You kind of knew for the photographs, and
Yeah.
that gives you the vibe and the idea. So I guess I love the music, and I had no agenda or anything that I had to reference to, you know.
Yeah.
It was just the music. Didn't get any word of what they were saying.
Was this your first grunge album?
I didn't even know that it was grunge. You know,
well,
to
but
me sounded
not
like
many people knew back then what grunge was all about. Yeah. and
Yeah,
I
for
think-
me it was like between punk, but I don't know, you know. So, and then I remember listening to this over and over, and my sister went like, she didn't like it because she told me that sound is so depressing.
Mhm.
You know, she said. I was like, how
Yes.
can I? To me, it wasn't depressing at all. And then a few years
It was.
later, then we all knew that it was depressing. And what about you?
Yeah, I was into metal. I think you were much more of a fan, Nirvana fan, than I was, but I didn't dislike it. I liked it. I didn't buy the album. But I remember when I saw the video for the first time. Back in the day, my brother and myself, we used to see in MTV every Saturday night, I think, Headbangers Ball, which was an MTV
Yeah.
show. Well, probably a lot of you know. and all the metal videos. So MTV had this show at nighttime where you could see the metal singles, and then I don't think that was shown on that metal. I think before that show, it was alternative, like an alternative hour, just before Headbangers, which it was like at midnight or something. At least I was in Mexico, you know, the schedule they showed on MTV, and I saw, waiting for the show to start, I saw this, and it took my attention. It was like that was different. Of course, I didn't know what grunge was either, and I felt there was some kind of aggressiveness in the music, which I liked, but I didn't understand a word either. Still, I don't understand what he says. But then I think you got the album, and then I became familiar because you were playing in a band with girls, and you used to play covers of this band of Nirvana, and I helped you sometimes to, you know, to pick on the the guitar riffs and all that. And then I remember an interview, like a few years later, of them talking about what inspired this album. I mean, a bunch of different bands, but among them was Sepultura. And they talked about being in London, in Camden, I think, in a bus, and listening to Arise, Sepultura's album, Arise.
Nirvana?
Yeah, Nirvana, yeah. And then they shared and said like, "Wow, this is amazing," and they were recording the album, I think, or they were about to, you know, and yeah, that was then I liked them better.
Then it kind of. So well, yes, this is our take on Nirvana, Nevermind.
So what track you like?
I love them all.
Yeah.
To me, it was more, I guess, because the melodies were so catchy, and it to me was more the sense of a songs played in this really aggressive sort of cool sounds, and also the sounds on the guitar scratching with the snare drum and all of this. All those sounds were very unique at that time, and it sounded without all the distortion we used in metal. It sounded in your face, and that was really cool.
Do you think they inspired your playing or the music?
Yeah, because all those sounds, to me, they really react to those sounds, and it was not more of a guitar. They did have riffs, but they were not complicated riffs like in thrash metal, Megadeth, Pantera, Metallica, all those bands, Testament, all of those bands had very complex, cool riffs, and they were technically difficult to play. And Nirvana, they were more, they were less complex. They were more and more simple, but don't think it were easy to play, because a lot of bands tried to play them and they didn't sound.
Because you had to have it, right?
And then what a drummer.
That's right.
What a drummer. So
and when I saw them at the, I guess, MTV Music Awards, or they started to appear on this, and I liked their attitude, the punk kind of attitude. I liked them because they were totally unpolite, you know, and although they were not metal, I respected them, and then I got into them, not as a crazy fan, but so incredible to see like a band playing 3 chords and making such a great song, right?
Yeah.
And we probably in a different episode we'll talk about other band that came out back in as well, like the same year, probably earlier than them, in fact, which is Eddie Vedder.
Oh, Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam. So, which as well I liked, and I thought they were a little bit more technical. in the way they play.
Yeah, I think you like them more. You
A
like
little bit
more
more, yeah,
Pearl
probably.
Jam.
Yeah, for some, I kind of, but I liked Soundgarden too. I liked them. Yeah, I mean,
Stone
cool,
Temple
yeah,
Pilots.
cool bands.
Some
So
of the
I mean,
cool bands.
cool bands. Anyway, so we should play the last, at least one track. Which... No. This is not the one.
Which
I wanted to
one?
play. My favorite track is this one. This one. Is it? Leave it there because otherwise we're gonna get caught by the publishers.
Okay. Okay, that's, I think for me, all of those are really cool. Even the ballads that at that time I really, really didn't like ballads, but even the ballads I like them, and so it's a cool album, and I think it just represents also a huge change in rock and roll, a huge contribution in rock and roll music.
Thanks to the producer too as well, right?
Oh, the producer, yeah, the legendary producer.
Butch
He produced a bunch of bands from the 90s, and so
Smashing Pumpkins.
Garbage.
Okay,
thank you so much, and see you next Thursday.
Sonic Youth, I think. Anyway.
February.
There you go.